Hello guys, this is leathertoolz. Today I'm going to do another flea market series, and it's again a knife. I found this in very bad condition, but I restored everything from the steel and the wood, and I'll even fix the crack. I will show you the details. And after restoring everything, after sharpening it, I thought it was really well worth to restore it. Sometimes after restoration, I find very not satisfied with the result because the performance of the tools is not that good. So this time it was really nice, and I really like it a lot. Okay, it doesn't have any of the maker's mark around the blade. Even before restoration, it didn't have anything. I wish I have taken the pictures, but I didn't. Sorry guys, and it would be nice if I show you guys the restoration process, but I will do it in the future when I find such a bad condition tool, and then I can restore fully, and then I can show you guys the what's the result. And okay, so there's no maker's mark, so I cannot ask the manufacturers how old this tool is, but it looks like it's really old, because normally this part is called ferrule in English, and then they, you know, most of the countries they make it with a brass, you know, because it's more sensible, it's easy to work with. But now this one looks it's a hand hammered. It looks like steel to me too. It's not definitely it's not aluminium. It's a steel, and you know, making this part with a steel, this could be a one thing. Brass was really expensive in the wartime era, because they are used in the parts of machines and the guns and the bullets shells. So they need the brass a lot. So there were times that brass price was really high, and then they had a shortage problem also. So they didn't have any brass at the moment. So I think that's why they made it with steel, this part. So it's really old. Not sure exactly when, but I think it's from this wartime era, I think. So it's just my assumption, but I think it's really historical piece. I like it a lot. This hand hammered look. I'll show you the close-up in the details later. And speaking of that, there were even times that Zippo lighters, you know, Zippo lighters are made of brass, if you guys didn't know. But there were even times that Zippo lighters were made with steel also, because brass was really expensive and hard to get. So during the wartime, everything is expensive and everything is shortage. So there were nowadays those made with the steel Zippos, they are really highly collectible items, and they are hard to buy and hard to get. So it's really interesting that to see a knife that has a steel ferrule to it. Okay, so I'll show you what this knife it looks like and what the mechanism is all about. Okay, so it looks like this. Okay, it's a double bevel. I mean, the both side ground bevel, so it's not like a Japanese grind, like a chisel grind or anything. It's just a both grind. The blade is pretty thick side, but it's still thin compared to knives made in current days. It's a thin blades. I like thin blades. Okay, so you might wonder what this middle thing is all about, and I'm going to show you what it is. Yeah, if you just if you stick your nail into it, then you will get this mechanism, and it has a notch in it. Yeah, and what it will do, this will slice from this handle housing, and then you will see okay, I need the flashlight. Oops. Do you guys see inside? Okay, if the camera can't focus that well and it's very dark inside. So what they have is the blade inside here. They have something like a bump that matches this slot onto the blades. So if you slide back and forth, and then if you find the length that you like, you can find the groove Okay. Okay, you can find the groove, and then you lock it down with a lever. Okay, so you have these long blades, but it doesn't go back or it doesn't go out. Okay, so this is actually lock that secures the blade. Okay, it's very simple mechanism, but it's hard to make, because if you think about it, if you make that bump thing onto the blade, it's hard to insert from the into the handle bit, but they don't have anything slots in here, so they must have inserted from the back, or I'm not sure how they insert this. It's really a mystery how they insert it without doing anything to the wood, or maybe they have welded after they inputted this blade. Not sure, but anyways, I don't need that length, so I use it from this. So this short length, so as I use it, as these blades get shorter, I will bring it back, and then I can use it this length always. This had a very bad wood handle. The color was very dark. It was almost black. I thought it was submerged in some kind of oil. Not sure. It was really black, and the wood was really you know, have you seen the woods that has been very wet and then dry and wet and dry? That becomes wood very weak, and it doesn't have any the firmness. It's really flaky, and it's like wood almost rotten to us, to very bad condition. But I sand it all down to bare wood and have a very good healthy and the good condition wood. I've sand everything down, and this contraction and the swirl has become distortion from the handle, so it had very uneven shape to the handle, but I all sand it down to evenness and everything. So it was really bad condition, but I brought it to life. So the handle got a little bit thinner, but it didn't really change the design much, so it looks like this. And the interesting tip I want to share with you guys is to using the super glue, the crazy glue, to glue these very fine cracks into the butt of the handle. So let me show you. Okay, so if you see this, it had a crack in the blade, in the butt of the handle, but it didn't have any of the severe cracks. So if you want to glue this with a wood glue, you might think, okay, I will need to apply force to see this crack, and then I'll put the glue inside, and then I'll try to clamp it. But if you try to do that, this is really old wood and it's really dry. If you try to do that, you will crack the whole blade, I mean the whole handle to the here. So you should never do those kind of things. You just put all the crazy glue very thin, very watery type, and then you just put it down, and the crazy glue will seep into this crack very fast, okay? And then you let it sit for 24 hours or 48 hours, okay? And then you start to sand, and then if you feel, you guys can see this crack lines here, yeah? But if you feel, there's nothing. So it bonds really quick, it bonds really strong, and it fills out the gaps really quickly. So if you have any type of wood, old tools or new tools, even if your tools have a crack, don't try to make it like a big mass project. Try to use it with a hot glue, crazy glue. You glue it, and then you let it sit, and then you sand it down. It does really perfect job for that. So don't try to be too wild with a wooden handle, okay? It's just will do the job. And interesting, they also used a steel rod from here to here to secure this lock bar. And then one mystery is that why they have to put a steel rod from here to here through here, because I see no problem any of the construction between the wooden handles without this pin going through to here to here. But it's a German made product. I think German engineers know better than me. I think there will be a reason why they had to put this rod here. So it's, for me, it's everything is a study. I think I'll maybe find out later as I make knives. I can maybe figure out what the problem was later. Sometimes it's really old guys, old generations, old makers were they had so much of wisdom and knowledge that new generation should learn from them. It's I think these high technologies, iPhones, internet, and everything is good, but you gotta still learn the engineering from the old generations because they knew how to do things properly. Okay, so this one thing that I like about the vintage tools there is that I can learn something from it. Okay, for in this case here, the handmade ferrule, steel ferrule. Do you see, guys? There's a small like a nail or rivet inside here, but it does not go all the way through, obviously, because there's a blade running in between. So they made a smallest nail and then put it in there to just hit the wood only from the one side. Okay, so just a rustic look to it. It's a handmade ferrule. One other speculation is that it was made of brass, but then it was replaced by the user, and he made it with a steel, and he made this tiny nail, and he nailed it down like this. There could be one theory too. Yeah. And I know that fit and finish is not so good. That's because the original handle and this the blade and everything was not such a good condition. And I doubt that because in the old days tools were just tools. Nowadays tools should be beautiful with the hardwood handles and every details matters now. But old tools were just the tools that used to make something, and tools were just tools. So aesthetic details were not that great in the old tools. Some tools are really good, but this one, I think this was not like a premium tool back in the days also. So they had to make it fast and functional really quickly, and the quality control was not that great on the details. They were, maybe quality control was good with the blades, because this blade's sharp and it stays sharp really long time. Okay, so again here, like this. I sharpen my knives with Japanese sword stone, so that's why it can be really sharp like this. But I think it's about the steel too. What I've learned from this knife was that the leather knives doesn't have to be made with the super steels. Old tools are made with high carbon or medium carbon steels. They're so easy to sharpen that you don't need much skills to make it really sharp. As you do the leather craft, as you sharpen the blade, you will learn how to sharpen the knives properly. But if you start with a really hard to sharpen knife steels, let's say S30V or M390, if you start with those kind of steels, most high chance that you will lose an interest in sharpening knives, because they're really hard to sharpen even for the middle class or really expert guys when they sharpen. So start with easy to sharpen knives or easy to sharpen steels, and then you will get the skills correctly, and then you will do better with the hard to sharpen knives. And it's okay to use just the plain steels or ordinary steels, because these steels, this from old knife, these things are sharp and they stay sharp really long time. So knife tools, it doesn't have to be really high end. It's good if you can take care of it, but still, you have no problem with using old tools and old steels. It's really classic. It's really easy to sharpen, and it's no problem at all. So it changed my perspective also. It doesn't have to be really high-end, or it doesn't have to be fancy named steels. Just high carbon steels, plain steels, they will just do really well because they're so easy to sharpen. They can be sharpened to razor edge between the work. So it's really nice to see this tool workable again. I like the steels a lot. So yeah. Okay, so that was it. So if you guys know anything about this knife, maybe the name or maybe the maker, you can always comment down below. I suspect this knife made by Tina, but I'm not so sure because it doesn't have any of the maker's mark or anything that can back up my assumption. But just looking at the design, I see it was made by Tina because they are only the makers that are making this design knife nowadays. But I have no idea what other companies made this knife before. Now they might have disappeared, but they used to be a really good company. Not sure, so I may have to look into that also. Alright, so I hope you guys like this video, and if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. And you know, I'll try to find another tools in flea market, and then I'll try to review. I actually did another my first FleaMarket Finds video, and you can find it on here, and you can find also other videos that I made in the past. You can always check that out. And thanks for watching, guys, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.